I've got some fantastic video for you that reminds me of a very interesting David Pakman show viral clip from years ago. What happened over the last few days is that Vice President Mike Pence showed up at a diner in Des Moines, Iowa called the Drake Diner. He stumbled upon a table where an emergency room doctor confronted Mike Pence about the Trump administration's policy on a bunch of things related to healthcare. And Mike Pence malfunctioned is the only way I can describe it. He froze up. He didn't know the Trump administration policy. He tried to change the subject, and then he threw in just standard propaganda disinformation phrases that are used strategically to stop having to actually know anything. So this reminded me of the clip that we did years ago called Mitt Romney Gets His Ass Handed to Him by a Gay Veteran, which now has nearly 1 million views. And it's a similar setup where at the time Mitt Romney was running for president, he showed up at some restaurant in New Hampshire. And he approached a guy, and it turned out that the guy was a gay veteran who confronted Romney on a whole bunch of issues, and it was fantastic. So back to this year and the Drake Diner in Des Moines, Iowa. This is going to be sort of another one of these propaganda disinformation breakdown type videos featuring Dr. Rob Davidson. Dr. Rob Davidson's an emergency room doctor. Mike Pence walks up to Dr. Davidson, shakes hands, and it very quickly goes south. And you will see Mike Pence instantly regretting this. Like the second Dr. Davidson starts talking, Pence is not pleased. We're going to listen to a few seconds and then notice that when Dr. Davidson says, these are the things you're doing now that are bad, Pence says, you know, when I was governor here, we did X, Y, and Z. That has nothing to do with Trump administration policy, which is what Dr. Davidson is trying to talk about. So this is the first disinformation technique. Let's take a look.
Hey, gentlemen.
Hey.
Hey, how you
Dr.
doing?
Rob Davidson. How you doing?
Hey, Rob. Good to meet you.
Hi there. I'm Joel.
Joel.
So I'm
Nice to meet you, Mr. Vice
an
President.
emergency doctor. I'm worried about plans they talked about last week of maybe cutting Medicare and then the rollout today of cutting Medicaid. I work in one of the poorest counties in Michigan, and my patients depend on expanded Medicaid. So how is that going to affect my patients?
I hadn't heard about cutting some Medicaid.
Cutting Medicaid, yeah. The head of CMS announced the plan to let states file for waivers so they could get block grants. So that would essentially cut the amount of money going to the states. So that would cut federal Medicaid funding. Is that a good idea?
Actually, when I was governor of Indiana, we got a waiver from the Obama administration that actually allowed us to expand Medicaid coverage in the states.
So Dr. Davidson is talking about right now, and Mike Pence is talking about, well, you know, when I was governor in Indiana, we did this, that, or the other thing. So let's now back it up a few seconds. We're going to pick it back up, and the good doctor does not let Mike Pence get away with it and says, I'm talking about now. I'm not talking about when you were governor. I'm talking about national policy now that you're the vice president. So Dr. Davidson tries it a second time. Take a look.
From the Obama administration that actually allowed us to expand Medicaid coverage in the states.
Right, but now they're talking about scaling back the Medicaid expansion that we got with the Affordable Care Act, and that 680,000 Michiganders, 600,000 in Iowa. I mean, a lot of people got health care.
We expanded coverage in Indiana.
Right, but I'm just talking about the president and your administration right now, what they're doing. Right now, they're cutting Medicaid.
Those are waivers for states that didn't take expansion.
No, it's for people who took expansion money too.
So Mike Pence again tries to talk about who knows what year he's even referring to, and Dr. Davidson brings him back. The reality is just that Mike Pence doesn't know the policy right now. He has no idea what Dr. Davidson is talking about. And here's how the conversation ultimately wrapped up with another technique, which we'll point out.
I mean, your administration just announced this. They rolled it out today, and it's going to affect millions of people across the country cutting Medicaid. I mean, is that a good idea, or is that a bad idea?
I think you're oversimplifying it.
Well, I think it comes down to that for the people I take care of all the time. I mean, people I see in the emergency department that can't get primary care doctors, you know, once they got Medicaid, they could get primary care doctors. They stay out of the ER. They actually worked more. They actually contributed to our community more. Now, if we tell those people, sorry, you don't get your health care, I mean, that's going to be a real negative in their lives. Yeah.
This actually, by coincidence, ends up being a good example of how to detect BS and disinformation techniques. So let's go through it. Mike Pence first gets confronted with some facts, and he doesn't really seem to know the facts, or he certainly can't defend what his administration has been doing. So he changes the subject. Dr. Davidson's talking about one thing, 2020 national healthcare policy. And Mike Pence starts talking about some year when he was Indiana governor policy, specifically in Indiana. And that's not what Dr. Davidson's trying to talk about. It may or may not be true what Pence is saying, but it's certainly not what's being discussed right now. Then Pence changes tactic and he misstates the current policy. So he says, well, you know, it's waivers or this or that. And Dr. Davidson again says, no, calls him out, doesn't let him get away with that. So then Mike Pence does a wrap up that's similar to let's agree to disagree. Now, sometimes it's logical to say let's agree to disagree. Sometimes in a conversation with family or friends, you're not going to get anywhere else. You're not making policy decisions. You just say let's agree to disagree. When an elected official like Mike Pence uses that or something similar to it, it's a sign that they're losing. And what Mike Pence said was, I think you were oversimplifying. That's a conversation ender, similar to let's agree to disagree, maybe actually more pernicious. And again, nice job by Dr. Rob Davidson. And that lets me get to the fourth tactic. Dr. Davidson, in a sense, has a horse in this race, okay? And some people after this video went viral found out, although it's not a secret, that Dr. Davidson is involved with an organization called the Committee to Protect Medicare. So the fourth disinformation tactic, Mike Pence did 3 of them. Number 4 is actually being done by right-wingers who just want to attack Dr. Davidson. If you look on the internet, the fourth tactic is this Dr. Davidson dude is biased. He's part of a group that wants to protect Medicare. Strictly speaking, that's an ad hominem, right? Like, yeah, of course, this guy has an opinion and Mike Pence has an opinion. Dr. Davidson is on a committee to protect Medicare. That doesn't change the facts that Dr. Davidson is asserting. Mike Pence also has a horse in the race in that his administration, he is Trump's vice president, they have policy that they want to convince people is good policy. So it's an ad hominem, strictly speaking, to say you can't believe Davidson because he's on a committee that wants to protect Medicare. You know, there's a lot of senior citizens who also want to protect Medicare. Are we going to call them all biased in the exact same way where we say the facts don't matter? No, you can have an opinion and the facts still matter. That is a disinformation technique number 4, which is discount the position as irrelevant or not believable because the person is biased by having a horse in the race. You can bet your ass that Mike Pence has a horse in the race, which is he doesn't want Donald Trump's policy to look like the you-know-what hitting the fan that it has actually been. This episode is sponsored by Blue Chew. One of the things I make a priority on the show is not to perpetuate stigma for things that don't deserve it. We've talked about mental health. We've talked about many things where we should all just be respectful adults, period, and we would be better off. And Blue Chew can increase performance and give you that extra confidence you may be looking for. BlueChew.com, blue like the color blue, is the first chewable with the same FDA-approved ingredient as in Viagra and Cialis. It can be taken day or night, even on a full stomach, since it's chewable. It works twice as fast as a pill. Whenever the opportunity arises, Blue Chew is prescribed online by licensed doctors. You don't have to go to a doctor's office. You don't have to wait in line at a pharmacy. It ships right to your door in a discreet package. They're made in the USA, and since Blue Chew prepares and ships direct, it's cheaper than a pharmacy. And best of all, no more awkwardness. We've got a special deal for our viewers and listeners. Go to BlueChew.com. Get your first shipment free when you use our promo code Pakman. That's Pakman. Pay just $5 shipping. That's BLUE Chew.com. Promo code Pakman to try it totally free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice. And we thank them for sponsoring the David Pakman Show.